Okay, I'm coming on to tell about the Day of Atonement, to reveal a dream that I had, and to reveal a revelation. So if you would stay with me, and if you don't want to hear a part of it, you can always skip forward. But these are things that are happening, and it was warnings. So the Day of Atonement is the 10th day after the start of the month. The start of the month was the new moon and the sighting of the first sliver of the new moon. So that was October 3rd, was when the first day happened. And then it says the 10th day after is the Feast of Atonement. So if I'm right, did the calculations right, it's the 12th and 13th. The Feast of Atonement is a very sacred, mournful day. It's a day where they say to afflict your soul, and to mourn for what you have done throughout this past year. It is a day of fasting. It is a day of going to God. It is a day of doing no work whatsoever. It is a day to show God that you're serious about what He has said and what He has done for you. And I went off last night, and I was woken up by a dream. I'm going to go back to Atonement for just a little bit longer. But in Atonement, so it's tomorrow, and what I've done in the past is I have wrote down every single sin that I can possibly think of that I have done, and stuff that that the devil has wanted me to bring to my head again. Because he doesn't want you to forget. The devil doesn't want you to release your stuff and forgive and move on. He wants you to hold a grudge. He wants you to stay behind. He wants you to think that, oh, well, you're scum and you're never going to make it. Well, that's not true. God wants us to call to Him, and it says in His Word, if you will call on Him and go to Him and do what He asks, He will save you. That's what it says in His Word. Period. There is no other thing. That's what it says in His Word. So that is, I believe, Saturday. Saturday's a normal Sabbath day, because the Sabbath day happens on the 7th day, which in our original calendar, the Sunday actually is the first day of our week. However, the way I've looked at it, also as a complete side note, the way I've looked at the Sabbath day in my past, because I have had to work on a weekend, is I have what I've done is I've worked 6 days, and I've taken that 7th day as my Sabbath, wherever it lays. Usually it's like a Sunday or Monday, or wherever it falls, and that's when I take my day, and I fast, and I not fast, but I go to Him and try to treat it as my Sabbath. So that's how. So the Day of Atonement is coming, and I believe that if we don't turn to God, like majorly, the day of judgment and wrath may be soon to follow. Because Sukkot kind of points at tabernacling with God. It points at, and that starts on, like, if I did the math right with that one too, it's because it's on the 15th day after the month. So it's 15 plus 3, which is 18. So October 18th, I believe, begins it, and it's 7 days where you're supposed to be in like a like shed, tent. That's what they've done in the past, and you're supposed to spend a lot of your time. What I've done in my past is I have slept in it every night, and tried to spend as much time as I could in it, and that's the way. And it's a day of celebration. And if you look at Revelation 7, it talks about it, how they have palm branches in their hands, and they are with God, because God basically, or John asked God, that why are these people in white and coming before your throne? And He talks about, well, these are the people that escaped the tribulation. So that's why I've said that potentially could be the time when God takes His people home. We have a very small chance that God could stop things and delay them, and He has in the past. he has delayed it already several times. Because in 2020 there was a prophecy that was said by someone that said it was game over and that the wars and all this stuff would happen. That never happened. And so, was it last year? About this time, I had a dream where I was taken, and it was supposed to be last winter, and that was pushed back because of there was it was like 30 days of where they went to a church in, I believe, Kentucky. I can't remember the name. It started with an A. But it was where they did like fasting and praying and celebrating for like 30 days straight. They were always there in the building. There was always someone there. And so God turned back and said, okay, well, this is... so that's what he wants. He wants us to completely turn away from this world. He wants us to go to him. So that was... so that's the Day of Atonement. So the next topic that I have is my dream. My dream this part of my life has been majorly frustrating. My car that I spent several $1,000s on malfunctioned. I'm in a job that, I guess in my view of things, doesn't fit, but in God's view of things, they do fit, because God's teaching me things like how to deal with different people, how to handle them, and to rescue people. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, I would rather be outside. I'd rather be doing ministry. And I think it's also, God was just trying to fill time, because he wanted me to do outdoor ministry and to get to people and to take them in the wilderness and to just lead them. And I have not done that. He warned me originally. He's like, I'm giving you this, but if you don't do it, there's going to be consequences. And so my life has not been easy. But yes, we all go through different trials and tribulations. So I got a scary dream where I was on a plane with my dog Tobias, or Toby. I have been calling him Toby. God wants me to call him Tobias because that's his true name. It means God is love, or God is good, kind of thing. And so my dad, my dog, and I were on a plane, and it malfunctioned like planes do occasionally, and we all hopped off. And we went to, we were on the ground, and we were basically searching on the ground and finding, we were searching for something, and I think we were searching for another plane or another way of escaping, and that's what I feel led. Sorry, I'm trying not to get hit too. But escaping what is coming. Sorry, I have a guy flashing his lights. I don't know what his deal is. So I was on the ground, and that was God's way of saying, okay, I did not like the words you were saying, because I went off last night and I was cursing and doing things that I shouldn't have been. And I'm very sorry that I did them. I didn't understand. I haven't understood my dreams, because there's a lot of dreams I've had and they have not come to pass. But God has been teaching me, and I came across some this morning, and he gave me the revelation of one of them. And I'm not going to mention names, but let's just say that there was a woman in my past who was originally supposed to have been mine, and he was revealing that I was with my mom, and we ran across this person's mother-in-law with two dogs, and one of them had a name Lily, and the reason why it had that is means it's pure, and it resembled like purity and God's restoration, that type of thing, I believe. And the other dog was a male, and I knew it was a male and a female, and I was supposed to have been with this woman and had these two, and I believe that, I know this is kind of crazy, but these two dogs, God hid the true meaning until now, because he wanted me to go to him. But the true meaning is these were my 2 kids I was showing off. And I ran into their mother-in-law with my mom and kind of showing them off. And I didn't get that revelation until this morning. So what I believe will happen is this will be restored. And so this is the third part. So I believe that the plane is about to take off, and I've had many dreams that say exactly that thing. I think it was a month or 2 ago, I had back to back escaping dreams. One where the sky was red, one where I was like barely hovering across the ground. And I can't remember the third one. There's a third one, and I can't remember what that third one was. But I had three escape dreams, and and I've always felt like it wasn't a harpazo kind of thing. It wasn't a taking away. It was a gathering in a certain place. And if you look at Joel, and this is the third part of this message, but if you look in Joel, I think it's 2 or 3, where it says that I will restore what the cankerworm and caterpillar and all this have done, and I will restore what has been lost to you. And I got a new revelation of that part. And my revelation, because I was told about quantum entanglement, and it is and I was told in my past at Montreat that there could be multiple timelines and multiple dimensions going on all at once. So just think of your life and all the times, all the decisions in your life and where it led you to. What if they all combined into one timeline at this time? What if all the decisions and everything combined into one, and this is only for God's true people, and I have to make that said. If you have not followed God, if you have not followed His commandments, if you have not followed what He has asked, this is not pertinent to you. If you are unwilling to follow what He has commanded, and sinning and fornicating and doing tattoos and leading an indecent life and worshiping pagan holidays and that type of thing, this message is not for you. And I'm sorry to be harsh, but that's the reality. God treats His word very seriously in many places in the New Testament, and God even lists them. And He led me to the rich ruler, where it said that and the guy basically listed off all the 10 commandments. He's like, oh well, I've never stolen, I've never murdered, I've never coveted, I've never done this, that, and other. And God and he asked God, it's like, what do I have to do to enter the kingdom of heaven? And God basically said that you have to sell all your stuff and come to me and do what I have asked. And the guy was like, and the guy couldn't do it. The guy was like, I have too much, I can't do it, kind of thing. And so, in many other places in the New Testament where it says, do not have malice, do not have anger, do not do sexual immorality. So because I've heard many pastors claim that that the 10 Commandments and all that stuff were taken away. That's hogwash. It is everywhere in the New Testament. If you read carefully, that is absolute hogwash. And it actually, because it says, love your neighbor, love God, and you have done. But there's another place in the New Testament where God is talking, and it talks about this very thing, and how sorry, I'm coming up on people that are slowing down. But God is basically saying that all the commandments are basically involving loving your neighbor as yourself, loving everyone around you. And like, if you love your neighbor, you don't covet their stuff, you don't steal from them, you don't lie to them, you don't cheat them, you certainly don't murder them. Do you want someone murdering you because of what you have or what they can do for you? No. Okay then. So that's a side note with this revelation. But God in Joel, it says, I will take my remnant and I will gather them and collect them, and I will take care of them, and I will restore what they have lost. God gave me a revelation of this. What if, and you can go to God with this, because this is kind of a mind-blowing kind of thing, but what if all those different timelines and all those things that you have lost came together in one final thing before God took you home? What if all those timelines and everything was restored to you? Like all those potential kids that you may have had, all those, and God is God, and so many different things could happen. Or maybe if it's just part of that timeline, God wants to show you, it's like, hey, I've had these things and I've wanted to give them to you, but the devil and you, and sometimes it's God that intervenes and he makes things happen a certain way because we weren't ready for them or something came up. And that's true in my life. I have been blocked by people in my life, and I had a dream of this same person that I've had in another dream where two individuals blocked her from coming to me. And God was showing me, it's like, okay, this was supposed to been a really special, amazing gift that I had for you, and these two individuals blocked it. But what if, like the restoration and that type of thing, what if your body was restored to original health? What if all the stuff that you were supposed to have experienced, well, it may not be everything that you were supposed to experience, but God's going to show you enough to where you're going to be like, wow. But it's like, what if that one relationship, you're like, man, I wish I would not have done that, or maybe it's a relationship or someone, it's like, man, I wish I would not have gone away from her or him, or I wish I wouldn't have done blah blah blah, or I wish I would have done. What if these things were restored? What if God has a way of restoring different experiences that you would have had? What if he had different ways of just living life? Because I believe that all three of these women that God has shown me, because I've had dreams of three separate women, and they have all been I kind of feel like they're all part of this in part, and all three of them, I believe, were supposed to have been more than what they are. Because right now I'm all alone. Right now I don't have any of these things that I've wanted for all my life, and I kind of feel like they're going to be restored. Like I'm going to have these women with me, but I have to do it in God's way. I have to do it biblically, and I have to do it, and I have to follow the Bible and what it says. And God also warned me, it's like, okay, if you mess up during this time, you will lose all of it as well. And that's what I've also heard. God is very serious when it comes to his word. God is very serious when it comes to you following his word. Yes, he is loving. Yes, he is long-suffering. Yes, he will absolutely take you in with the worst possible human you could have been. And if you go to him and say, God, I am so incredibly sorry, and if you show him by fasting and repenting and praying and forgiving everyone in your past, he will gladly say, welcome home. But if you don't, that's on you. He's gone to you many times, and this is his way of coming to you with one final, and this may not, and yes, God can continue stuff if he sees fit, but this may be your final call. This may be your one final thing and way of saying, hey, you need to wake up. Because if what I feel, what the Spirit, I believe, and what I have been feeling happens afterward is the day of wrath, the day of God's, it's not judgment, it's called the day of the Lord. And it is a day of absolute wrath and anger. It is a day where a scorched earth policy happens. Look at Joel 2, and you'll see that it's like it says, like the Garden of Eden before me, and basically scorched earth behind them, and nothing will stop it. And it also says before the great day of the Lord, it says that there'll be pillars of smoke, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. That's what it is. And so that is before the great day of the Lord. Well, I believe the pillars of smoke may have happened with all the smoke, and you see all the fire. I mean, you see the fire and pillars of smoke constantly because all the West is burning. A lot of Canada is burning. The blood, I mean, there are certain rivers that kind of look like they've turned to blood. We've seen blood moons and all that. So that kind of has happened, but not really. But I mean, there may have been other times of blood, or it may not be fulfilled yet. So I'm all I can do is reveal what I've been shown. But sorry, I'm now following an individual. But these are revelations that were given to me. The Day of Atonement is the Lord's feast. It was a eternal covenant commandment that God gave His people. They are not for the just the Jews. They are for the Jews and Gentiles. If you are part of Him, if you are part of His family will eternally do these things. Abraham followed it. Isaac followed it. Moses followed this. It is not just God that commands this. It is not just the Jews that are said to do this. And what I find even more insane is sorry, I had an exit. But what's more insane is a certain branch of that is governed by a guy that starts by P and goes with Ope. And what they have said is to worship Christmas and Easter and all these BS things when that is not anywhere in the commandments. I wish you would pull off. So they're getting us to do Valentine's Day and all these other days, and God in His Bible says to not do the traditions of man, to not follow what they say, to not follow what they do, but yet here we are doing exactly what they say. And we're even participating in the Devil's Day, which is Halloween. We are wholeheartedly accepting, well, I'm not wholeheartedly, but they are wholeheartedly accepting that, and it's nothing but torturing kids and eating kids and taking their blood. It is nothing more than sacrifices. It's all that candy that you see has been cursed by him or by them. And so, not by him meaning God, but by them meaning the witches and the warlocks and all the other people. So that has been going on. But these are revelations. Please go to God. Please get right with God. Please celebrate the Feast of Atonement and get right with God now, because this may be your last chance. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening. Please go to God with this. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.